Hubby's out here getting the roadway ready.
Pull one big one out.
Trying to make our way over to our table.
You can't get there yet.
Wow.
So it'll get cleared out.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
We're going to do it all the way to Connex box and clear it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, all we got to do is maintain it.
Almost time to get out here. Right, I'm heading to the shop.
Okay.
So this is my shop, and I haven't been out here for a couple years. So I'm going to come out. So we want to use our armillary. You see my poor armillary there. Poor thing. Get my workbench cleaned up and get the armillary going. Then I have another armillary over here. But my shop is getting kind of cluttered. We've been working on a whole refurbishing our house. It's not even a renovation, it's a refurbishing of our house. So things are kind of piled up out here in the shop. But I'm going to get my workbench cleared off so I can work and see if we can get this armillary up in service. Because we just don't have too many more days before we'll be watching for that straight line shadow marking the new year. As you saw, hubby's out trying to clear a path to our table. We go out there every 15-20 minutes during the time we're watching and mark that table. And it gives us a witness of the straight line. But the armillary, we like using the armillary as well because we can get a reading immediately at sunrise if our armillaries are set correctly. So we're going to get those out this year. All right, well, I managed to get my workspace cleaned up and these armillaries, this one taken apart and kind of looking to see what needs to be done to refurbish them and fix them up so we can get them in use here in just a few days. And this one just needs some sanding. I need to do some gluing on this base. It's got some play. We don't want any play in it. And pretty much I just think sand it a little bit, and I'm going to repaint this one, put some new strings. This one I had played around with, gosh, I guess it's been a couple years now, and I hadn't really completed it. This ring face here needs to come off, so I still need to screw it. I had just wired it to see how it would work, but now I've got some little screws like I've got there in the center, and I'm going to screw it and glue it so I can just run a string so it will give us our readings. But yeah, that's my project right now. And then I do have these bigger hoops that I was going to try to do something similar with, but I don't know if I'm going to get around to doing that until maybe a later project this summer. But we're going to get these refurbished. So this is also my metal armillary that I had a welder make for me, and he powder coated it. But the problem we had with it after we set it up was we really had no way of knowing for sure the angle for our latitude. Where, like with this one, you have this base. This one, I could put the protractor right here and set the angle. But this one, we tried so many different ways. We tried to put it across the middle there, across the middle there. We were never really satisfied with the reading, so we just didn't use it a lot. Well, I love it because it's metal, and so it holds up to the weather, where you can see my wooden one is pretty weathered. And I think I have an idea for a new base that might be easier to measure the angle with. I think I'm going to kind of replicate this base, but double it up because that metal is pretty heavy, so I don't think that alone will do it. But so I'm going to try to double that up and see if I can make a base similar to what it's on using hardware like this. I'm going to get busy and do some gluing here and a little sanding. I already started sanding this a little bit, cleaning it up, and get it glued. Make sure it's straight. It doesn't look very straight to me right now. So that's what I'm going to do, and Yahweh willing, that this all gets put together before the time of the new year. I'm ready to get out in the garden. I'm ready for Passover. Just new beginnings. Oh, day 2 of the project. I'm out here with the chickens this morning. We've got one in quarantine. We had a new puppy accident. Thought the chicken was a chew toy. So puppy has to stay away from chickens now until she learns better. So she's in quarantine. She's doing a lot better. They just had some grubs and they think they want more. What? Crazy chickens? Alright, so over to the table. We need to go paint it. Just a few more days and we're going to be marking for the new year. We're garden. I got some raised beds I'm putting in the garden this year. Need to get out here and do some severe raking and cleaning up. Never ending. So we want to grow more food this year. So hubby, oh, the hubby left his tools out. He cleaned this all up for me so nicely. So I could get back here. This is like goat head heaven back here. This is one part of the yard we've not quite got to yet. So I'm gonna come out here and paint this table. It's really wet today. I'm gonna dry it off, get it painted. And this little table, it has some old marks on it, but won't be too much to cover that up right there. So we're gonna get started. Paint the armillaries today and get at least one of them up and going. And the reason I want to get an armillary going this year is we're not supposed to have really good weather come the equinox. So we looked forward to the weather forecast, and we probably be a lot like this, stormy for the next several days. So we thought, well, at least if we have an armillary and it's set, and if we get any kind of light that day, it'll show us the straight line. So we'll do our best to do the table method, this straight line method here on the table, but the armillary will really show us, throughout the day, that straight line. So then we'll have the backup witness of the table if we have sunlight. But that's how it is springtime in Utah. It's always hit and miss this time of year on whether or not it's going to storm. So we'll let you see how it turns out here when I get her all done. Hey Barbie, are you visiting your sick friend? Yeah. Are you visiting? You telling her it's going to be okay? This is Miss Barbie Bird. We call her Badass Barbie because she about had her wing tore off once by some predator that got into her coop one night. And we didn't think she was going to make it. Here she is a couple years later. Still going strong. Still giving us an egg here and there. Badass Barbie. But she's telling you it's going to be okay. You'll survive it. Hang in there, sister. You're a good girl, Barbie. So the chickens have been out here helping me. We got this table all painted and ready to go. Hey chickens, you enjoying all this that Dad cleaned out? The big table is all painted. So we looked at the weather report. Like I said earlier, we only had a few clear days to get some stuff done, and this was supposed to be one of them. And then I look up and I see this after I got done painting. So hopefully, it's coming from the south and it's pretty dark down south. Hopefully this will dry and it won't get wet. But, oh well, if it does, it does. I don't know that we're going to be able to use it with the way the weather's supposed to be around the equinox. But we'll see. The both tables are now ready. And our armillary one's painted. I got 2 more to work on. So for now, Chick Chicks and I are gonna sign out. Shalom, shalom. That's a good one. Shalom. Okay, day 3 of my get ready projects. I think I will at least have one armillary up and going. Show you what I've done here. So this one, I've been getting painted and it feels pretty dry, so I just need to flip it over and work on the important side, the side that where we get our readings. I'll have to sand that down. I have some drips there, but I mean the rest is okay. It'll work. It's not pretty, but it'll work. Just sand this down and get it nice, and then I'll paint that. But this is my project today. And and I still have this base I got to repair for this one. And I was at the hardware store yesterday and forgot to get fresh wood glue. So I'm going to see if my wood glue over there is any good. If not, I have to make a phone call to the hubby. So I don't know if I'm going to have this armillary done in time. It was leaning and I was trying to get it back up square by putting some nails in there. Once I got it square, then I was going to glue it. So I was kind of working on this base. A lot of projects going on. Got the tables painted. I had to make a new Nomian for the big table. We'll go out and look at that in a minute. But, where's my hardware? Oh, here it is. So my plan is to take this apart. See, there's only this one nut. I had this, I think I mentioned earlier, had this made for me by a welder that I used to know. So I'm going to take this nut off because the problem was that we could never really know if it was set correctly because we had nothing to set our protractor on. We would kind of put it in the middle here, but boy, just one way or the other, it would show a difference. One time I'd lay a board across these two arms and we used that reading, but we just never really felt good about it. So I'm not sure if I'm even going to need these brackets here, but these are the main ones that I'm going to use. And so I'm going to take these two brackets, I'm going to undo this, then I'm going to extend it. And this is going to be how we're going to angle it. So I can measure, just like on this one, where I can put my protractor right here and it gives me the correct angle. That'll give me that same kind of arm. Actually, that's what kind of gave me the idea, is how I did that one. I thought, well, I can do this one. So this is a nice heavy base that he made for me. So I hate to not use this base because this is a pretty wide area here. So we have to have some balance. And so that's my project, my quick project today. See how high I need to make it work. And so I'm gonna get started. Okay, so this is what I ended up doing. Actually, I first started out using the long pieces, and this put the armillary way up tall. So it was out of balance. And another problem I had is I needed a spacer in here because I moved this piece that used to be between there up to a new position. So I needed some kind of spacer, and I was going to originally just use a spool of thread, but it was too wide and the socket happens to fit just perfectly. So I stuck a socket in there. And this is how I'm going to make my adjustments. So we can see that it's holding nicely. And what I really like about that I've used this L bracket is I can know that this is going to be more level than this. When I had this up there, it was really kind of floppy and flimsy. And actually, this probably would have worked if I had a shorter piece. Here we are. This is the piece. I think it's going to work. I'm so excited. This is feeling pretty tight here, and so I'm going to get my inclinometer, my protractor, and see if I can set it. Take it outside and see if I can set it. So maybe we'll have one armillary up. This I got to put a new string on. This is the original wire. They had powder coated this for me and powder coated these wires, but the first year, this first wire just from the wind and stuff just broke loose. So I'm going to restring at least this wire here. This is just a string. And I still don't know if I'm going to get this armillary going. Oh, there's some hardware I could have used. Oh, I think it goes to this armillary. So I'm a hardware hoarder. I had hardware all over the place trying to get the right combination of washers and bolts. And that was another thing, which is kind of interesting, is I couldn't get the thicker bolts through these holes where I was able to use a thicker bolt, which I'm a lot happier with that, because this is a pretty heavy piece. And so that made me happy to be able to use the L and a thicker bolt. So I was able to use a thicker bolt here using this L, where I couldn't use, I had to use a thinner bolt with this, and it just wasn't working. And even with the spacer, it was just too top heavy. So this poor armillary, I don't know if I'm gonna get it done in time. This one I think I can still work on and get it done. It's just a quick fix here. So at least we got one, and I'm pretty happy the way it turned out, because I actually paid the guy quite a bit of money to make this for me, and was kind of upset that I really couldn't use it, and he kind of flaked out on me. So I'm just excited on how this turned out here. So I'm gonna take it outside, go take it to the table, and get my protractor and get it set and see how it does. Alrighty, I'm out here now and I have it set, and it seems to be holding. I had to mess around with some of the washers. These big washers were letting it slide and it wasn't getting a good grip. So I got it set to my latitude, and my midday is coming up here in about 5 minutes, and that is about what the armillary is telling me. It's almost midday here. I use this app that gives me true north, and I've set it the best I could to true north, and I'm just waiting now for midday to see if it's reading right. Because what will happen on midday is this north-south line will be in the middle. And that's what you're watching for. Another sign on the equinox is not only will we have a straight line from the morning coming off this east-west line. So see how this is curved here? That line will be straight on the equinox. And so at midday we'll have a little mid-cross right there in the middle. On the table you'll see that the line towards midday starts to level out for several days. And if I was marking the table today, you'd see how we'll be starting to mark it on Friday. Today is Tuesday, it's prep day, and tomorrow's Shabbat. So on Friday I'm going to start marking the table, and you'll see how this midday point kind of levels out. So at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day is when we get our little curves. We are midday at my location now, and we can see how the armillary, this north-south line, is in the middle. And this is the north-south line is what tells time. So it goes across your east-west arm and it tells your time. So if you get your armillary set up and you've used it for a while, you can mark your little notches for your time, and so it'll tell you the time. And then this north-south arm tells us the season. And see, here's its shadow right here, and it's going to start moving up this way, and then it'll go as far as it will go, not all the way up to the top. It'll be probably in this area around the solstice, and then back down, and then it comes down and then back up. So this is what we're looking for right here, is this middle cross mark at midday, straight line at sunrise, and we'll have a straight line throughout the day. So I'm very pleased with this adjustment I had made with this armillary, and pretty confident that it's going to read well. Happy with the readings I'm getting today. Since I have the armillary set now, I set it to midday. I'll come and double check it tonight, make sure it's facing the North Star. But so what I've done is I just made 2 marks. And so now all I need to do is place the armillary in this spot and line up my 2 marks and know that I'm facing the right direction. And so then I'll just have to make sure when it comes back out. I'm not going to leave it out here because I don't want the wind to knock it. It's getting kind of windy right now. And then I just need to make sure that it's set to my latitude. And I've got my alignment marks. And I think we're good to go. So Friday we'll start marking the tables and watching for the new year. And you'll see, we'll watch come out at sunrise and see how that straight line looks. Alright, so excited. This was my 3-day project. Got a lot done. And it didn't rain on the table, but we still are getting some dew in the morning. And that makes it really hard to mark these tables, so I have to remember to cover them the night before. So on Thursday night, I need to cover them so I can come out here and not have to fight with the dew. You can see it kind of bubbled my paint job, but that's alright. It'll work. It'll work for its purposes. So, very pleased with what we got going here. And I hope that you'll join us in watching for the shadows and send us your results. REMNANToftheLIGHT@gmail.com. Send us your pictures, your results, what you're doing, how you're doing it, when you're doing it. And we'd love to see what you get. And we'll compile everything and share it on our website. Yahweh willing and weather permitting, we will be out here in a couple days, start marking and watching for the new year. So, until we meet again, I'm going to wish you Shalom, Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.